Hey, Commanders Nation. First of all, take a deep breath, because today's conversation is heated, intense, and full of twists and turns. But calm down. We're not just talking about any other news. We are talking about change of destiny, of power, and of a decision that can define the future of the team. Attention, loyal fans. The forecast that came out now promises change the course of the entire NFC. You Atlanta Braves, yes, they are being pointed out to replace Raisel Iglesias by a $102 million monster, 3-time All-Star, a direct rival of National League, Edwin Diaz. Yes, the same Diaz, the guy with 253 saves, a 1.63 ERA, and a fastball that looks like a stray bullet in the New York night sky. But hold on a little, because the impact of this news goes far beyond the Braves. This changes the dynamics of the league. It changes how the Mets will rebuild. It changes the balance of power in the entire East. And in the end, could end up messing with the fate of our Washington Commanders as well. Before we dive in, let me ask you, backhand index pointing right, are you a true Commanders fan? The one who cheers even when the team is suffering. Who shouts even in the hardest moments? Then subscribe to the channel now. Activates the bell and comments. Here is loyalty until the end. Because today, the talk is behind the scenes. It's about decisions, and it's about the future. Now, let's understand what's going on, because the rumor is explosive. You Braves are in a win-now mode. They still have their golden core. Acuna Jr., Riley, Olsen, Strider, all at their peak. But what was missing last season? Close the games. The heartbreaking losses, the absurd comebacks, the bullpen giving up leads. It ended up costing them the October run. And in the midst of this scenario, Raisel Iglesias becomes a dilemma. He played well, yes, and he showed his strength again. But his contract, his age, and his fluctuating performance raise serious questions. Can we trust him as a closer for a team that wants a title now? Analysts from Sports Illustrated and MLB Network made it clear Atlanta may even try to keep Iglesias in as-short agreement just to ensure temporary stability. But if you want a decisive step towards TH with the Mets, in other words, he can simply opt out and fall right into the Braves' lap. And you know what that would mean. Collision, the Mets weaken. The Braves become favorites. And the National League's balance is shattered. Now, imagine the symbolism. The same Diaz who terrorized hitters in blue and white, now closing games in red and gold. The same sound of the trumpet at Citi Field playing, but now in another stadium, with another crowd cheering for him. This wouldn't just be an exchange. It would be a sporting earthquake. And this is where the key point comes in. The Braves aren't just thinking about reinforcements. They want to send a message to the entire league. They mean, we're not going to watch the Dodgers and Phillies dominate anymore. And when a franchise like Atlanta goes into this full-on aggressive mode, no one is safe. But the craziest thing of all, this affects the entire market, including the decisions of other teams that are also in the process of rebuilding and transitioning, such as our Washington Commanders. Because when a big team makes a move of this size, the dominoes start to fall. Teams shift priorities. Contracts are reevaluated. Agents apply pressure. The market heats up. And all of this has repercussions for franchises that are building their own empires. Teams like ours, who are looking at 2026 with a thirst for a turnaround. Now, come back, White Top. Edwin Diaz is a name. And let's agree, Edwin Diaz in a Braves uniform would be an emotional blow to the league. First, because of the rivalry. Second, because it would be the biggest power grab in the MLB East division since Freddie Freeman left Atlanta. The guy is simply a strikeout machine. He returned from injury in 2025 with a surreal season, 1.63 ERA, 13.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. The kind of performance that changes the game, that silences stadiums, that even makes opposing fans respect you. And it doesn't stop there. Diaz has an exit clause in his contract. Me to Atlanta. The reasoning is clear. OS Braves failed to secure decisive leads, and the bullpen was one of the main villains. Edwin Diaz is literally the antidote to that. A closer who intimidates, who has confidence, who lives in the moment. The only problem? The price. And it's not small. We are talking about a contract potentially above $100 million. An investment that requires courage and long-term vision. But the Braves front office knows if they want to lift another trophy, cost is part of the game. And let's be honest, owner Alex Anthopoulos isn't afraid to be bold. He's made bold moves before, and always with a keen eye. This guy knows when it's time to throw his chips on the table. And I tell you, this could be the play of the century. Now, my fellow fan, are you still there? Because what comes next is my honest opinion. 10 minutes straight from the heart about this rumor that is all of baseball on alert. Sit down, because it's time to talk to the soul. In my view, this story is a portrait of what separates great teams from ordinary teams. The Braves understood that in modern baseball, complacency is the biggest enemy. You can have the best lineup, the best coach, the best stadium. But if you don to our reliable closer with cold blood and the soul of a champion, everything falls apart. Raisel Iglesias is good, but Edwin Diaz is elite. And the difference between good and elite is the difference between almost champion and real champion. I think the Braves have a moral obligation to try this move, because when you have your core at its peak, Acuna, Riley, Strider, you don't wait for tomorrow. You attack today. And the fans know it. The city knows it. The time for patience is over. Now, let's look at the other side. What about the Mets? They lose the player who is the heart of the bullpen. This can shake the entire team emotionally. But at the same time, it opens space for them to rethink their identity. Without Diaz, their focus changes completely. Maybe they'll bolster their offense. Maybe they'll go after young pitchers. Maybe they'll change their entire philosophy. But honestly, if the Braves actually manage to pry Diaz away from the Mets, the MLB East Division ends. Atlanta becomes a new empire. And there won't be any Phillies, Dodgers, or Giants who can stop him. The psychological impact of this is huge. The message is, we are not afraid to take away the rival's best player. And that kind of attitude is what turns good teams into legends. Now, if you ask me, would I make that trade? Without thinking twice. I would sign with Diaz today. Because in sport, as in life, there are moments that define everything. And if the Braves hesitate, someone will act first. But if they do, if Diaz puts on his uniform, gets on the mound, and closes out Game 1 at 100 miles per hour in the corner of the plate, my friend, baseball is going to stop. It's going to be the moment when the entire MLB realizes that Atlanta is back to dominate. So I want to hear from you, fan. Backhand index pointing right. Do you think the Braves should go all in on Edwin Diaz? Backhand index pointing right. Or do you trust that Raisel Iglesias still has what it takes to close out decisive games? Comment below, because your voice is part of this conversation. And if you're one of those who feels your heart beat faster when you hear the sound of crowds screaming, subscribe to the channel now, leave a like, and share this video with those who live the sport as much as you do. Because baseball isn't just a game. It's emotion, it's legacy, it's war, and it's redemption. And when all this mixes together, that's when legends are born. Hail to the Commanders. Hail to the game we love. And may the next big turnaround. You know, fan, when I look at this news about the Atlanta Braves considering replacing Raisel Iglesias with Edwin Diaz, I don't just see a possible exchange. I see a symbol, a message, an era-defining movement. And that's why I need to speak from the heart today, without a script, without formality, like someone talking to another sports fan. Because, to me, this news story is an accurate portrayal of how modern baseball works. The great ones don't wait for tomorrow. They attack today. Let's be honest. The Braves suffered one of the biggest disappointments of last season. A golden cast. Acuna Jr., Riley, Olsen, Strider, Harris. And yet the team fell short when it mattered most. And why? Because when the game got tight in the ninth inning, there was no longer that feeling of it's safe. The bullpen failed. Confidence collapsed. And in baseball, that's lethal. Now, look who appears on the radar. Edwin Diaz. 3-time All-Star, 253 saves, 1.63 ERA, the sound of trumpets echoing to the stadium. The guy is a mythical figure. And the idea of seeing Diaz in a Braves uniform is almost surreal. But at the same time, it's the kind of move that only courageous teams make. In my opinion, this possible hiring is more than a technical decision. It's a declaration of war. It's the Braves telling the entire league, we're tired of waiting. We want the throne now. And I respect that so much. Because look, fan, time is cruel in sports. Winners close quickly. Injuries, contracts, cycles. Everything changes. And when you have a group at their peak, with talent at their physical and mental peak, you can't settle for almost. Raisel Iglesias is a good player, without a doubt. But being good isn't enough when you play to be a champion. Iglesias delivers consistency, but Diaz delivers dominance. And it is this difference that separates the great teams from the legendary ones. What I admire is the timing. The Braves are playing the dare game. They know if they stand still, the Dodgers, the Phillies, even the Mets will run them over. And instead of hiding, they're aiming straight for their rival's heart. Because let's face it, taking Edwin Diaz of the Mets will be a double whammy. You become stronger and at the same time weakens the enemy. It's pure chess. And the Braves are thinking like champions. Now the challenge is price. We are talking about a contract of over $100 million. It's a heavy investment, and yes, risky, but honestly, it's the kind of risk you need to run when the goal is to lift the trophy. Do you think the Astros won by playing conservatively? That the Dodgers dominated by playing cheaply? No, they dared, and they created dynasties. And the Braves are about to do the same. But there is another point I want to touch on, the psychological factor. He imagines Edwin Diaz's impact on the locker room. Just having a guy like him in the bullpen changes the atmosphere. The young people feel safe, the veterans gain confidence. The coach sleeps peacefully. It's like having a general in the army. You know that when the ninth inning comes, the war is won. And that fan is worth every penny. It's not just about statistics. It's about presence, about the kind of player who changes the mood of an entire stadium when he steps onto the field. But there is also another side to the coin. The Mets, what happens to them if Diaz really goes to Atlanta? They lose the symbol of the bullpen, the moral leader of the relief rotation, and, frankly, they lose part of the soul of the team. The rivalry would gain new fuel, because seeing Diaz close out games in a rival uniform would be painful for any New York fan. But this is how elite baseball works. No one is safe, not even the idols. Now, I know some fans will say, but what if Diaz doesn't repeat his performance? Yes, the risk exists. A 30-year-old closer with a history of injuries may experience a drop in performance. But do you know what's worse than taking a risk and making a mistake? It's not taking risks and spending the rest of your life thinking, what if? And I see that dilemma with the Braves now. They can play it safe, re-sign Iglesias, and maybe repeat the same story. Or they can take the leap and change the course of the franchise. And I truly believe that Edwin Diaz is the kind of player who changes destiny. He's the closer who comes in and changes a game, changes the locker room, changes the culture. He has that presence factor that few have. If the Braves sign him, I'll tell you, the National League will change its level. The fear returns. Respect returns. And the Atlanta Braves are once again synonymous with power. But, and here comes my touch of realism, if the team hesitates, if it tries to save money, if it plays it safe, so you can prepare your heart for another season of almost. Because baseball doesn't forgive cowardice. He rewards those with the courage to reinvent themselves. And that's why I end by saying this. If I were Alex Anthopoulos, I would sign Edwin Diaz today, without thinking twice. Because players like that don't come along every day. And when they appear, you don't ask the price, you pay and make history. The Braves have the roster, got the money. There is the moment. The champion step is missing. And this step has a name, a face, and a trumpet rhythm echoing through the stadiums of Georgia. Edwin Diaz. That's my opinion, fan. 10 minutes of pure truth and emotion. And now I want to know yours. Backhand index pointing right, do you think the Braves should go all in on Diaz or give Iglesias another chance? Comment below, because this discussion is for those who understand baseball at heart. And if you've come this far, it's because you're one of mine, passionate about this game. So subscribe to the channel now, like it, and share it with that friend who lives every shot as if it were their last. Because that's what baseball is all about, grit, passion, and history being made every inning. And I guarantee you, fan, The Braves are about to write another epic chapter. Collision hail to Commanders, and long live the game that never stops.